and it's toothless. God, all I could see was eyes, like the other side of the sofa. All I could see was that in the viewfinder. Ahoy there, mates, and welcome back to the channel. My name's Jack, and do you like my failed attempt at making like spooky ambient lighting? Because I turned off the main light and turned on this like little bedside lamp to try and make it a bit like creepier, but all it's done is washed me out, so that's a complete fail. Never mind. Anyway, I wanted to share a spooky story-ish, like a spooky / scary, made me jump moment from last night, that I blame the YouTuber Corpse Husband for completely. And, you know, if you like scary stories, go and follow him, his channel's amazing. But yeah, something happened last night that really scared the ever-living shit out of me, and it made me sort of remember a load of other scary stories, and I thought I'd share them all. Anyway, what happened last night was, like I said, Corpse has a channel where he reads scary, spooky, like horrifying, disturbing stories. Usually with like a creepy ambient background track. And like last night he was doing a live stream just where he was like answering questions and just like generally chatting, but because I'm so used to hearing his voice talking about scary, disturbing, horrifying things, like part of me was still slightly on edge. And it was sort of coming up to the end of the stream. He'd been talking for something like an hour and 3/4 or something like that, and I'd listened to almost the whole thing. I think I came into it like 15 minutes in, and I was sitting here like properly into it, and no one else was in the house, and I heard the most almighty crash from just out on the landing. And just to give you an idea, here's our living room, there's our landing, and like this really loud like crash came from out there, and like I felt every drop of blood in me run cold. I thought, what the shit was that? And I kid you not, like I think I still have it. On the coffee table I had that, because I was eating cheese earlier that evening, and I grabbed that and I walked out into the hall like, hello, who's there? And it turned out to be our ladder, our loft ladder, because we had it leaning against the wall, and all that happened was it had slid down the wall and like crashed onto like a pile of boxes and stuff that we have at the top of the stairs. But I tell you what, icicles up my spine and in my soul. Like every light in the flat went on. I didn't care. Like Craig came home, and here was me like sitting in the living room, every light on, like some happy. I think I ended up putting a Disney film on, just to keep myself sort of happy. And he was like, what happened? So I told him, but so that freaked me out, but it made me remember a load of, because like I'm a big believer in like ghosts and spirits. I'm just a believer in the paranormal in general, and I was thinking I have had the odd sort of experience here and there, and I thought it'd be interesting because, for one thing, even though that ladder falling down, I think that is just that we leant it against the wall in kind of a weird way. But at the same time, I am convinced that like this is kind of an oldish flat. I mean, it's by no means ancient. I think it was built like back in the 80s or something. But I do think we have a ghost here. But it's one I've never really been afraid of, because like Craig can be in his office, and I can be, I don't know, somewhere else, in the kitchen. And I'll hear things, like, coming from in the living room, like, someone just, you know, picking things up, moving things around, like, just someone in here, like, picking things up generally, but I know there's no one else around, because it's me and Craig. We don't have any kids, we don't have any pets, you know, there's nothing else that could be making that sound, unless I'm drying laundry. We generally don't have the windows opened, and, you know, that, from that distance, I mean, you don't really get a strong enough breeze to knock anything over anyway, because we're in a kind of a sheltered area. So, I'm pretty convinced that there is something here. And the strongest experience that I can think of that I've had here so far. I mean, we've been here for almost a year now, and I do have one other. I'm going to share another one in a moment, but there is one time that I was okay. This might sound weird, and this might be able to, someone might be able to explain this, how this happened, like electronically or whatever. But there was a time that I was using this webcam to fix my hair, and my camera shutter went off and took a photo of me, and I can prove it because I've got the photo and both my hands are in shot. And Craig again was, I think, in his office, and nothing could have set it off. My sleeves weren't long enough to set it off because it was about this distance away. So I don't know if that's anything, but like I say, that might be sort of debunkable, if that's the right phrase to use. But no, the other thing I can think of, and this isn't anything to do with anything electric, was when I was in here, and I think I was just on my laptop again. I was sort of on Facebook or whatever, and I remember, occasionally when you're sort of sitting there and you see it's like the light wobbles in your peripheral vision. It felt like one of those, and it looked like that, a shadow moved in front of me, behind the laptop screen, in front of our TV. I saw this shadow move across, and to be honest, I know that occasionally a light can flicker very slightly and cause that. So I didn't really think much of it. I was like, whatever, a bit weird. But then I felt every hair sort of this side of my body, all the hairs on my arms, all the hairs on that side of my neck, and all the hairs on that side of my head stand up. And I thought, they've just come from this way, come round, and it's like they've sat down next to me, and it's like every hair went up. I could feel them next to me. And I was like, oh, hi? Hi, who's there? So, that happened, which was pretty cool. But apart from other sort of general shufflings around the flat, I really can't think of anything specific that's happened apart from that one thing, seeing the light move and then feeling whatever it was. It's like in school when someone would quickly run their finger down your back and you'd feel your hair go up. It felt like that, but just on one side. And that's what it was like. And I don't know, I've heard that ghosts can affect you like that. And I've had a couple of other experiences too at work, and I won't say where I work just because I don't want to get in trouble. But let's just say that there's a warehouse there. And now this company is old. The company itself is over 100 years old, and I don't know how long they've been in this building, but there are some really old photos of the building that I work in, around the store, and you can this building's been here a while, so I can imagine this being a old time ghost. But I was walking through the warehouse, and there's this bit. There are these stairs up to a top loft bit where we keep a load of stuff, and it's just general equipment and bits and pieces that we need, boxes full of, I'm trying to think of an example. I don't know, carrier bags. They're kept up there, general supplies. So that was that side. Behind me was just a walkway, down back towards the main shop, and then forwards from me is this freezer. This massive walk-in freezer. Oh my god, it's Arctic in there, minus 21. But anyways, so I was standing at this sort of junction bit, and I was on a late night, so it was about 7 o'clock at night that I was walking through here, and there wasn't anyone else around. And so I had the walkway there, fridge that way. Right, it was just that one line. And obviously I couldn't see, there was no one in front of me, and I hadn't heard or seen anyone behind me, and I felt beside me someone grab me like that, but I didn't feel like individual fingers. It's like the hand was like that, and I felt that, and like it was a pretty substantial grab. It wasn't just like a slight sensation that, you know, someone jumpy and paranoid would like misread. It was like a proper. It made me turn around because I thought it was one of the lads from, you know, another department just arsing around. But that walkway, I turned around too quick for anyone to like run in the opposite direction because I would have seen them. And there was like nowhere for them to like quickly duck down and hide, and I hadn't heard them before either. And that floor is like concrete. I would have heard them. My voice is shaking, but more because I'm excited to tell the story. Like I'm not. This sort of thing doesn't scare me. The thing that did scare me was like the ladder falling down yesterday, just because the crash was so insanely loud. Because we've got like stud wall that side as well, like the hollow stuff. So when it fell, it like vibrated out really, like it was loud. So like that scared me. But I'm also a little bit camera shy, so if I seem a bit manic and my voice is going, then, you know, people probably know this about me by now. But yeah, so I've been grabbed. I'm sort of going backwards through my experiences. There was a ghost at my parents' house, but it just seemed to be like in the garage, which is where I slept. I slept in a converted garage, if you remember. I have said it in like a couple of videos back. Again, nerves. But yeah, my bedroom was an old converted garage, and then literally like the other side of the wall was my parents' kitchen, and it seemed to be sort of connected to the garage and like the front end of the kitchen, because that's where I'd hear noises and that's where things would happen. Like I'd be in my bedroom and something would just randomly fall off the shelf, like like that. If it was just like sitting on the shelf, like it would just, you know, randomly fall off. And that sort of thing never bothered me because, like I say, like little things like that, they just seem to follow me. Odd little things moving around and stuff. But I do remember one night, like, hearing, it was like a really... Have you ever... I'm trying to think of how best to explain this, but I heard, it was like a shouting noise, like someone was shouting like someone's name, but I couldn't make out a name. It's like I was hearing that, but like from a very, very long distance away. Yet it still sounded like it was inside the house. Does that make any kind of sense? Like, it sounded like really, really muffled, like this shouting. It happened twice. I heard this shout twice. And I swear, a couple of minutes later, my brothers came in, and they said, "Did you hear that?" I went, "Yeah," but to me it sounded like it came from in the kitchen. And they said, "Oh, we thought it came from the garage. We thought it was you, to be honest." I thought, okay, so you've got the wall here, garage, kitchen. The people in the kitchen, it sounded like it came from here. And for me, it sounded like it came from the kitchen, so it was sort of somewhere in between the two. And we lived in the country, and I tell you what, if you've never heard a red fox bark, it sounds like a woman screaming. So I managed to just tell him, oh, it's probably a fox from outside. And to be honest, it might well have been, but it really did sound like it was in the house. So, I don't know, maybe I heard a ghost shouting for someone, but that's as active as that one ever got. Also, she didn't seem to like me watching ghost hunting shows. I say she, I just got like the feeling that she was a she. But yeah, whenever I watched any kind of paranormal investigation program, like Ghost Adventures was one of my favourites when I was in university, she'd get a lot more active, like more stuff had come off the side, or I'd hear like things like the door going, like something had hit the door from my side, yet nothing had, you know, that kind of, like someone had knocked into it almost. And I'd hear a lot of that if I tried to watch a ghost, like a paranormal investigation video, and in the end I just thought, okay, I won't watch them anymore. I'll save it for university. I won't watch them in the house. And she stopped after that. But, again, I don't know. Maybe that can be explained. And the only other really sort of strongly active paranormal place that I can think of that I've experienced was where I used to work, because I used to work in a hotel cum bar cum restaurant that was over 100 years old. But there was a ghost there that pretty much everyone knew about. Like this ghost was so active that everyone knew that this place was haunted. Because the barmaid, who was a great friend of mine, she'd say that she'd be sort of closing up at night and she'd hear like the bottles shuffling and things like that, and she'd heard her name being called at one point at a time that she knew she was the last one in the building. And me, because I was I was waiting staff there, I used to have like a tea towel over my shoulder, and the amount of times that I felt that get tweaked when I was walking down, there was a little corridor around behind where the bar was that used to loop round, and you'd come through the bar and back like it was one of those circuit things, but it was only in this one corridor. And it'd always be there that I'd walk down and I'd feel it get like pulled, or like it was being readjusted for me, you know what I mean? But it used to turn lights on and off. Like I'd turn the lights off in the restaurant, go and like put something away in the kitchen, come back on, and the lights would be on again. Like that sort of thing used to happen. And at one point when I was there, where I was standing, there used to be this like counter sort of in the middle of the restaurant. Like you had a bit of the restaurant, like you had a walkway round where there was like a dessert fridge, like just like in front of me and here, and then it'd curve round to a bit more of the restaurant there, and you had one doorway there. And I was standing and I think I was just folding napkins, because we had them folded in some fancy way, you know how some restaurants do. We used to have ours like folded into this weird point thing, and I used to be able to go through them really fast, and that was mainly down to in the winter you had nothing else to do because it'd get so quiet. And I was just standing and I was folding loads of these, and you know how you get into that sort of almost zen-like state where you're just kind of doing the same thing over and over, and it's almost therapeutic. And I was like that, and I got the same sort of thing that I got here, where I saw like the light like flicker or wobble in a weird way, and it made me look up. And the dessert cabinet had a light in it, obviously to light up the display of all the like cakes in there. And on the carpet in front of the dessert cabinet, I saw a shadow go across the floor. And I was the only one there, and I wasn't moving. And I thought, well, okay, I can't think what else that could have been except the ghost. And I was trying to figure out what light would have had to be shining on a person to cause that, and it was the light from the dessert fridge, so the person would have to have walked right by me. It's not like someone could have walked past that doorway and cast it, because I tried that. I walked past and I had a look, like, so the doorway's here and into the restaurant, and I walked past the doorway and it didn't cast any kind of shadow, because all the light was hitting me here and was going onto the carpet here outside the door. So I literally had to be in the room and walk past the dessert fridge to cast that shadow, and yet there was no one there. So literally I saw the shadow of someone walking past without the person walking past. So that was pretty cool. Oh, and I do remember seeing like you know, like you get heat haze off a road in the summer when it's really, really hot and like the air's all sort of ripply, like you can't see anything physical there, but you can see where something is, if that makes any sense. I did see that sort of effect go across the restaurant very quickly once, but that was very slight, and I'm not sure I definitely saw it. But yeah, those are all the experiences that I can think of for now. I might have had others, but those are the ones that really stick in my mind. And yeah, that was really sort of set off by spooks last night. Thanks, Corpse. So, I hope you've enjoyed my spooky very, to be honest, matter of fact ghost stories. I'm not the best ghost storyteller, am I? Never mind. Despite the failed attempt at spooky lighting and my wingman. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, leave me a like rating. If you've got any ghost stories of your own, do leave them in the comments below deck. And if you'd like to see more random videos from me on my completely non-structured, non-genre channel, hit the subscribe button and become a member of my crew, and I will see you all next time, guys. Bye. I hope the camera didn't catch that. I farted, I'm sorry.